If you add the cameras?
No. But, well, I'll put it as part of my report, sure. We need to put it in the system, sure. We'll add number 3, meeting room cameras.
And they're in
Camera and mic.
New business.
New business? Move to approve the meeting agenda with the addition.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda with the addition of the August election with checks number 1001153 through 1001163 for a total of $5,069.25. And the unpaid bills number 15387 to 15405 for a total of $20,050.03.
Not that I want any changes, but can we also discuss the budget change? Part of this?
We can, but that's not in the consent agenda.
The budget adjustments.
The budget adjustment?
Yeah,
Or
budget adjustment.
Oh, budget,
budget
okay,
adjustment?
adjustment.
We can talk about it, do you need it first?
I'd just like to understand what the budget adjustment was.
Okay, budget adjustment.
That's not really your total on the check register, because the one check's not written.
It's the memberships, when we approved the memberships for, was that $1,900 for the MTA?
So more than just board members can
All access.
participate.
Yeah, it's for, yeah,
And we got the extra classes.
yeah, that when
We got the higher package.
we got the high package is what you voted on. So it pulled over memberships over the budget.
Mhm.
So that's what that was for.
What was the capital outlay
That's where the money's coming from.
for the month?
To cover the membership costs.
No. Memberships, capital outlay.
Correct. Increase.
Our total,
Our capital outlay went down to this figure,
okay.
and our memberships, the amended budget went down up to this number, down, yes.
Okay.
And the election payroll actually, also includes a check, that 270 is for only the people who didn't fill out the, W-2s. So it's just in there, the check's not written, it's in there for you guys to know that that's how much the election cost.
I'll second that. We could have had that discussion.
What roads did we run? $3,000?
Everything except for Holbert so far, because that's getting gravel.
Is there that gravel?
Right. But I'll need to contact the Brian Tech. Tell him the rest of the field, because that's getting paid. Roll call.
Brower?
Yes,
Miller?
Yes.
Zelinski? Yes. Miller? Yes. Davis?
Yes.
County Commission. Thanks, Dave, I really, don't have anything tonight, we haven't had a meeting in 3 weeks, you have, Art gave a written report, I don't have anything to add to that, because I was on vacation the other week, but, I did just today get the, millage language from, I'm sure everybody's heard about, Northwestern Michigan College, how they wanna annex Dundee County into their district. And it looks like, they'll be asking for over 2 mills and to raise $3.5 million a year, our tax dollars, just so our students can save, what, $20 a credit hour?
There's no cost for 2 years now to go to college anywhere, so why?
If you're in one of those districts, so, I mean, that's more money than it would take for us to send every kid in this county to school anywhere. So, but other than that, I don't have anything to add.
Fire chief. Ran 18 calls last month. You see on the sheet what they were, there was a big breakdown, was 9 EMS, 9 fire total. One was at Dollar General, one of their coolers caught on fire, that was really the only fire. The other ones are classified as fire, but they were canceling, because they were in the Grand Traverse, and we were canceling on the way. Because one was not much, the other one that was a fire was a smoke scare, it happened on July 4th. Somebody called in, tons of smoke in the area, thought somebody was burning something or something was on fire. And just smoke from somebody letting off a lot of fireworks. All the PMs are done on all the trucks, but the last 2 got done at Just Trucks, the big trucks. So all the trucks are taken care of. Next on the list, it comes up the end of this month, is all the post testing, ladder testing, nozzles, all that stuff. And just hoping for that those hose fails. Because to order hose, you're out 8-9 months right now. So hopefully if any of our hose fails, to reorder it, it takes about 9 months to get in.
That order now is today.
Ladders are 2.5 years out,
Oh,
but all our ladders are new. But a lot of our hose was all donated back in 2009 when I mean, we have some newer hose, but a lot of it was donated, so.
Do you have any suspicious hoses? You
No.
Don't know.
Some of that hose hasn't been pulled off the truck for a whole year, that we haven't used. It doesn't mean that it doesn't go bad. I mean, there's a lot of hose. So, I hope not. Usually what goes is our, hose that, goes inside and, it fights fire. A lot of that hose usually, fails first because it's getting used all the time, getting pulled in, rubbing on the ground, embers falling down, but when we put it back in service, when we wash it, put it back in service, we usually look at it, but you still don't know what happens on the inside.
If a hose, let's say a hose fails, or maybe 2 hoses fail, does that push you in a bad situation?
No. It makes it close. Because I have like 2 extras that are on the truck that can replace that, but yes, if we lose some, we need to replace it.
Just didn't want you to be without a backup.
Oh, no, we got enough to go, that's why, I mean, now if we lose 10, depending on which size and which ones they are, will be a problem. But if we lose like 10 sections of 3.5 inch, that doesn't get used as much, no. We have to replace it, but it doesn't put us in a lot.
Okay.
Our smaller hose that we use for most, all fires. I handed out to you, I was looking to purchase 2 iPads, Apple iPads for the engine and the tanker, so our crews aren't using their phone getting directions and getting updates from central dispatch. I've been wanting to do this for a while, but it costs a lot more with the CAD, through our CAD vendor, through central dispatch's CAD, because you had to get a computer, a modem, besides the wireless connection, but a modem. costs a lot of money, where a rugged laptop costs like $35,000-$40,000. That's what we paid for the last one a couple years ago. Now they have one that you can do on an iPad. So it saves a lot of money compared to having an actual computer. Central Dispatch is doing a lot of updates now that we can get and see on our CAD as they're typing calls, now that they're doing EMD and all that stuff, so there's more things we get to see that stuff where before we didn't. I don't like people using their cell phones trying to go to calls, whereas this gives us their directions to, especially out of town.
Do you have cases for them? For the iPads?
Maybe mounts, right?
Yeah, I gotta look at mounts, but I need to, first, before I actually get the mounts,
You have to get the iPad.
gotta get the iPads to find the right ones, where to put them and everything. So I'd like purchase of the iPads and then so much up for mounts for the new trucks. But first I was gonna go with iPads where we can do it in general, not to exceed, but
What do you guesstimate for?
for the mounts, between the two, $1,000. That's what cases, mounts, wiring, everything.
Install.
It's easy for me to do, yeah. It's not that much.
So if we did 4, you know, we cover everything. Alright, make a motion to approve, up to $4,000 for purchase of iPads and installation for the 2, fire apparatuses.
I'll second that.
Roll call, Amy?
Okay, Brower,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Zelinski,
Yes.
Lewis, yes, Davis.
Yes. Carries.
Next is the yearly, MTA workshop for emerging issues and emergency services that I go to every year in, Frankenmuth. It's now September 10th, and one of the things they did this year is because it's so overwhelming big, they actually split it. There's now a second date that's in Cadillac, so I don't have to travel. I'd just like permission to sign up for it. The topics this year are still an update from the Bureau of Fire Services, Fire Marshal. Sites from the Bureau of Emergency Preparation, which is the EMS system here, Emily. Insight session on impact of battery storage systems, electric vehicles, which is a huge topic right now. I have trainings in September that I'm going to, so in October I'm gonna be coming back probably looking for stuff to purchase because of the fire blanket and a lot of things that they want to do instead of putting water on it. Another one was, critical incident stress management. So,
Is Derek going to, or one of the others? Somebody else?
yeah, Derek was gonna go too. So I need 2 for the chief and assistant chief.
What's the cost?
$125 a person if done before August 27th.
$250. Make a motion to approve $250 from the, chief and assistant chief to the MTA Emergency Services.
I'll second.
Including mileage and,
No, because we usually take one of the trucks. We take the pickup truck, so,
okay,
And they get fed there.
and they are
and
in
they get fed.
there,
Alright.
up there.
Go ahead and roll call.
Zelinski, yes, Miller,
Yes.
Lewis, yes, Brower,
Yes.
Davis.
Yes. Motion carries.
That's all I got.
Alright.
And we got the railroad park written report, and Peggy wanted, what did you want to ask?
Well, I have a couple of things.
Yeah, okay, yeah, no.
Can you guys just know? No, yeah, what I gave you was a progress report on where we are so far on the goals that we set for this particular season. Not as fast as we hoped we would get things done, but we're getting some things done. So, we have part of the reason we're not getting as much done as we needed to is numerous members of our committee have had health issues, for one thing, and we don't have as many people on the committee as we thought we did a year ago. So it turns out that our labor force is rather small. And I gave you a list of the people who are actually working on the landlord part at the bottom of this thing. So there's a number of people who are technically on the committee, but they're really not. So I think we could just remove their names at this point. But they're not going to show up. They're not doing anything. You don't necessarily want to be involved anymore. So then there's three people, Jenny and Keith and Rebecca, who are the main trail builders. They're the ones that are able-bodied and able to actually cut trails, and they've been doing a lot of work on that. We're almost finished with the trails. We have one trail that needs some fine-tuning, just to get rid of some snags and to widen some parts a little bit. Our 3 picnic tables have been assembled, thanks to my son and my granddaughter who did that. We don't have the pavilion up yet. That's something we need some help with. We need some people who are able to get over there and help with the physical part of digging the holes and putting cement in for the footings and then assembling the pavilion. And we tried for 3 work days at the park. We advertised for volunteers, and the only people who showed up are the people who are on this list, who already are working on the park. So that didn't work. I'm not sure quite what to do about that. I don't know if we have to hire somebody to come and do that kind of stuff or what, but right now, so the pavilion is still sitting over there waiting for assembly, and we just don't have the human resources to do it at the moment. So there's that. There's some remaining work that needs to be done. Most of it is going to be done by the same people who've been doing the rest of the stuff. We still have 12 trees to plant. I have not given a bill to the township yet for those 12 trees, because I was waiting to see how many of them survived. And they're in buckets in my garden waiting to be planted over at the park. So I'm probably only going to charge it for 12 trees. 5 of them didn't make it. So we plan to put a stand up for a rain barrel, which my son will build, and we have a rain barrel to donate so we can water those trees. He has a way of making one with a little foam, so we can collect some water over there. There's no water on that land. We still have to disperse the native grass seed, which we will do in the fall. I want to get some more trail markers, the little metal things that we put on the trees. We didn't have enough for one of the trails, so I'd like to be able to order some of those if that's okay. And I couldn't find the invoice. Did you find an invoice for that?
No, I'll look it up.
Okay, because I can't remember what they cost, but I'd like to get another set of those.
Yeah.
Those
The orange ones.
Yeah, well, particularly the orange ones, but I thought we should get some of the others as well. They've got them all up, but they're pretty far apart, so I'd like to put more up, particularly for winter. If we think people are going to snowshoe over there, they're not going to see the trails. They need, something up in the air to look at to know where the trails are. So I'd like to be able to get those. We're going to do some work to remove some spotted neckweed, and we're going to cut down 4 dead oaks in the fall probably. I saw the forester, the conservation district forester, Ellie Johnson, at a workshop this weekend. She's going to come on, I think it's the 20th, to the park. Take a look at the 3 dead oak trees that we were watching. See what she thinks we should do, because we're worried about oak wilt. Oak wilt is moving in that direction. It's already hit the Wilkinson's property, so it's heading that way.
Right there, isn't it?
Huh?
That's right there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So the fact that there's 3 more dead trees besides the ones we took out 2 years ago is a big concern, because that park is full of beautiful oak trees. I mean, That's one of its main features, so we're hoping we can put a stop to it. She will give me I already have a list of the approved professional arborists who would help us do what intervention we need to do, and we need to dig trenches and do all kinds of stuff to stop it from spreading to the other trees, so. And she'll send a sample to Michigan State to be tested to make sure that's really what it is, it's killing it, because there's other things that are attacking oak trees. That's about, so I have a couple budget requests, and one of them is for another set of metal trail markers. We only ordered, you approved $2,000, I believe, for benches, and then they raised the price.
They did.
So,
It was a good
it was a good price raise, so we only got 4, we ordered 4, and they're on their way, they'll be coming soon, we'll put them together. I'd like to get one more, one of the backless ones, I think we, the full, but I'd like to be able to get one more of those backless benches. So, I want you to possibly approve them. And at some point, we're going to, I'm gonna find somebody, I didn't get around to it yet, find somebody to fill in that cistern on the old homestead. I need an excavator, and I was supposed to get some bids, and I haven't. But I will, so that'll be something that'll cost some money, eventually. If we decide to deal with the oak will, with a professional arborist doing it, it's gonna cost us some money, so they won't come cheap. But I certainly think it's worth saving those trees. That's it.
Did the price go up on the backless bench?
Yeah, both of them.
Both of them?
Yeah, that's why we couldn't afford
And the
all
shipping,
the 5.
shipping was cost of a bench.
So, do you know the cost of one of those benches?
Rose knows.
It's back on
It's in her
the desk.
desk, I don't know.
Let's see, the backless bench was
Sounds
$321,
right.
$331
I don't
for the
remember
bench.
which was which. I don't,
But then there's shipping.
But then there's shipping.
they would have to do shipping separate because we've already got the 4 on the way. It's set with one shipping bill. So, I mean, you don't have to approve that one, but I'd like one more, because we have 5 places where we want to put them.
We could always do that.
And I walked that perimeter trail myself yesterday, and tell you, I really wish there was a bench up there on that ridge.
They come.
Oh, probably.
So up to 500 cover the shipping costs too?
I can't remember off the top of my head. Big city sitting.
Do you want me to run and get that for sure?
It doesn't have the shipping cost
Oh,
inside
it
it.
doesn't, right.
It's on the invoice.
Oh.
It's in
I
the,
go to the free shipping.
well, no. Free tax.
Free tax, right, we will pay tax. So those are just considerations I would like you to think about. Determined to have a grand opening in the fall, like September or October.
What's the process for volunteers? If my husband and I
Peggy?
said we'd be happy to help, do we have to be on the committee to be over there with chainsaws?
Oh,
Okay, we don't need you to be
Digging and
digging holes.
building things? Do I need to be officially on the committee to be
No,
over
you
there?
just have to be over 18.
Or supervised by a parent, as my grandchild is.
so you'd supervise my class.
Yeah. Yeah, we need just some able-bodied people for just some temporary stuff, it's not long-term commitment, it's just. My kid just had hernia surgery, he can't lift a damn thing, and I can't do much of that. My granddaughter can lift some of these things, but she's only 11.
It's a homestead.
Huh?
What's the homestead?
Just the old foundation for where the original house was on that property, there's a cistern, an open cistern there.
Oh,
And some foundation cement and stuff that's hazardous.
Is that characteristic of most homesteads?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So we just want to cover it, fill it.
Alright. report. We got 2 land use permits for single-family dwellings, 1 for an addition.
What was in here? See, you got fire association and planning committee. Planning commission.
Oh, yeah.
He was looking at his papers, not the thing that.
All right, yeah, sorry, fire association.
So we're still working on the bottles, always, take volunteers, help sort them. And it's been talk about us changing our name back to the original, what it was, but we'll approach the board and talk to them about it. Because they have to approve it, because we are under the board.
Change that back to what? I didn't hear you.
Like, if we were the fire board, when it originally.
It was called the Fire Corps, Inland Township Fire Corps.
Fire Corps, it can't be Fire Association. Right.
Plan commission.
It's my understanding that there was not a quorum at our last meeting, so there was no
There
business.
was a
done.
quorum.
There was a
I
quorum?
think that one, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought there was only 2.
I think the one before that.
But I was not able to attend that one, so I will pass the ball to Laura.
We are in need of some assistance from professionals because we're in the process of attempting to rewrite our zoning and we're floundering. We just need some guidance on what we're supposed to do, what the process is. We were all under the impression that when we were hiring, Networks Northwest for the master plan, that would include the zoning and it doesn't, so, we're attempting to at least, familiarize ourselves with the base of what the zoning ordinance is and the components of it, but there are some things that are beyond what we know. There are some things that we're trying to, get ahead of, and we're quite frankly way behind, so we need some help with, like, solar and wind and things that aren't in there but are fast approaching our area, and just some organization. But the meetings have been sort of scattered and kind of, we're all over the place, so Rose reached out to someone, you can.
Mary Riley from Michigan State University Extension, she's, planning, zoning, and public policy, and their office, she's from the office in Manistee, and she will be available, I'll give you the dates on the meeting night, but, she said she is more than willing to come to us and do one-on-one with our planning commission, so that she can address the specific issues of our planning commission. And she couldn't give an exact price, but she said she's around $200 plus mileage. So I think what planning commission would like to ask was to approve for $300 to cover that cost for Mary to come in and spend an hour and a half, 2 hours with planning commission.
Is she planning on coming to our next meeting on the 25th?
She cannot.
She can't be at that one?
We tried. I did. I said, can you come?
Yeah,
And
I was
she said,
thinking we were gonna.
let me give you the dates available. I'm like, well, okay, because we'll have to just, you guys will have to decide
Yeah.
that you'll have to have a special training meeting. So.
And that's part of my other question, like, scheduling meetings, because, I mean, we have access to all this stuff, but let's be honest, I don't know that people are gonna be watching the videos on their own time. It would be nice if we all came together and had, like, instead of 1 meeting a month to discuss what we're discussing, have maybe 2, starting in the fall, right? Summer, everybody's busy, but like 2 meetings a month. One, we come and we watch the training together and we're all learning at the same time, learning at the same pace, the hot topic issues especially. I do think it's like, cause it's a really important commission, and we're kind of like, what are we doing, kind of thing, so, it's kind of frustrating for me to try to establish, especially because I'm not, I mean, I read what's in the book, and that's what I go by, but there's a lot to it, so. I think it'd be nice, maybe at our next meeting, we can discuss it as a group, cause at our last meeting, we only had 3 people, so. This way we can say, all right, what are our key issues that we wanna talk to this lady about? Where do we feel that we need help? And we can let her know ahead of schedule. And then,
And our
Is,
next meeting is Wednesday, August 21st at 6 o'clock here.
is $100 enough for mileage for her?
I'm sure it will be, I just said up to
Oh, yeah.
$300, she said the class is around 200, and, cause she couldn't give me the exact cost of it at that time when I spoke to her,
Where's she coming from?
Manistee.
Oh.
Three should cover that, right?
Yeah, I think 3 should
and
cover
then
it.
that's the other thing, do I need permission to, if I decided I wanted our lawyer to come to our next meeting, do I have to come to the board and ask permission, or do I, as the chair, I mean, we have our own budget, I mean, the fire chief has to come and ask, so, like, what's the process? Can I just call the lawyer, or do I need to come to the board and say, hey,
I spend money.
Yeah, the last time we did board approval for it.
I mean, I'm happy to do that, I'm just, luckily yours is always the week before ours, but if we wanted our lawyer here next week, and I had to come tonight to ask, you know, it's like,
Right.
Are they able to schedule it to come next week?
exactly,
That's the thing.
Yeah.
so, I didn't know if there was like, if I just had.
Tell you no, but,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, if you really need it, we can always have a special meeting just to approve that, so.
Cause, I mean, I don't know if the zoning administrator ever just calls the lawyer with questions on certain things, or not. I mean, I feel like in the past, we've had to do that, when we've had big things
Right.
going on,
Yeah.
that, 'cause sometimes we need a lawyer,
Yeah.
so. Just the procedures and the, who calls the meeting, and can we change the meeting, and can we not, you know? Like this last one, it was, some of us could make it, some of us, when we were all like, well, can we just change it? And I'm like, we can't just change it at the last minute, cause it is on the calendar kind of thing. So some of that stuff, like
Can we maybe approve having the planning commission have their attorney come in next week if he can come in?
you know, we're not ready for it, I'm just trying to get, like, what the hell am I doing here, is what I'm trying to
So I don't
say.
think we're gonna get a final cost on what the attorney's gonna cost,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
until they actually come, but
Well, let's start with the MSU thing, and then we'll set that up, and then that'll probably raise questions that you'll wanna bring to the lawyer, and then we can approve that then.
Okay, yeah, and I can ask her, she should know too, what the thing is, so,
yeah, and
How about,
she's,
is 300 enough, you think? So we ask for 4, and if it's less, it's less. I mean, mileage is like almost 70 cents a mile, how far,
Manistee.
what's that, 50?
50 miles. 40. Okay, 40 miles.
I think MSU's actually on this side, but anyway, it doesn't matter. You wanna do 400, you know,
Yeah, I'd rather be safe than
Okay.
sorry.
I'll make a motion that we approve up to $400 to have
Mary Riley.
Mary Riley from MSU Extension to schedule a meeting with the planning commission.
Second.
Roll call, right?
Brower,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Davis?
Yes. Carries.
So that's it from me, I think, this is everything else. Great.
Right.
Thank you.
Can I get 10 years off you?
I did. Brian, had to step down as chair. He's staying on as a member. Anastasia O'Connor accepted the position as chair, so she's the new, chair. Also, there is, time ran out for the, 5K that Brian had hoped to somehow work into this fall, so that's canceled, for that. And basically, they're gonna meet again to figure out what events to put forward.
How about a park open house?
That would be a good thing.
Website committee?
New website seems to be working well, is stable. We are working with, Unibit, to implement, being able to take payments for room rentals and the like. And that hopefully by next month's meeting will be up and running. There's also a suggestion, Ryan had a suggestion for, basically a little bit better system than what we're using for capturing the meetings. Both video, it can be better controlled, and also, little Bluetooth, sort of not wired, can be moved around, microphone that picks up everything, which, is, $360 depending on which, website you go to, but we've added that to new business, so I'll bring that back up now. I think one more month of running dual systems, and then we can drop the old website.
All right, you're here Thursday nights, returning on that?
Yeah, but anybody who wants training on it, I have office hours, 6:30 to 8 o'clock or later, depending on whatever, on, Thursday nights.
Lane committee?
Next, Wednesday, the 28th, hopefully we can have a meeting. I don't know how we schedule that, or.
I'll just put it out.
Okay.
At 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock?
What's the purpose of that committee?
Just to figure out what the purposes are, the, chunks of land that the township owns, like over here.
Stay open.
We're trying to figure out, one, if it's a brownfield, what can be done with it. We won't know any of that till, we probably won't know until the winter, because they're not being gonna start work or the testing till probably late October, but, and then,
Should we wait until after we get that, till the next meeting, or what do you think? I mean, we can discuss that other.
yeah, let's talk about the other one.
Okay.
That, yeah, there's 7.5 acres over on Miller Road that kind of behind the house.
Stanley?
Stanley Road, yes.
But you do have testing scheduled for that, right?
Yeah, Eagle's doing it for us, so there's no cost, but, and they'll do more in-depth than what we would have paid a lot of money for, but they, on a slower timeline.
Acreage on the, brownfield?
It's the 30 and the other 10.
Oh, okay, you mean,
Split it.
yeah, total, or,
Okay, yeah,
yeah,
20 and 10, but the old cherry orchard at the corner there.
yeah, okay, and the 7 is over on Stanley?
Yep.
Okay.
Alright, zoning and blight. We did the zoning. Blight, we are moving in on one Friday. There's a team coming in to clean that out. We have the court order, they've had the court order over a year. They started working on it, stopped, started again, now they've been stopped for many months. didn't do anything over the summer. So after cleanup day, which was their deadline, I contacted this company that does that, and they'll be going in Friday to clean that one up. And then,
That's the only improved one.
yeah. And then,
Which road is that on?
John Bennett Road. And then, the other one, the lawyer has sent out the papers, haven't heard anything back on that yet. And then another new one that came in last week that I will be sending letters out and serving probably this week. Blight Compensation Committee.
Can we go back to the blight?
Oh, yeah.
I know at last meeting you guys had discussed the zoning administrator not doing the blight, and you were gonna discuss the salary adjustment, and that sort of got forgotten. Is that in here?
Yeah.
Does anybody remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
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 So I don't know when that gets discussed.
We can handle it under, any new business. Or, you know, compensation committee.
Yeah, we've been trying to get together.
I get it.
Summer's a hard time.
Everybody's got their own schedule, so. But we can certainly add the administrator in there if not.
And, we'll add it up there at the bottom. Board member reports.
There was nothing from compensation? committee?
No, Jim, you haven't had been able to get together.
Gotcha. Thank you. I missed it.
I'm gonna talk about the survey now.
The survey's on for unfinished business, number 2.
Well, this is under board reports.
Well, I wasn't quite sure how the ARPA funds in the survey. I'll hold off until it's unfinished business.
All right.
I got your election report. We had, we had a total of 413 absentee ballots sent, 314 received back, 33 people came to early voting. The entire county had less than 3% come to early voting. We had 245 people come for election day, so our total number of voters was 559. And the return postage for 250, this is what the handling charge cost, was $1.16 per piece. Just thought it would, cost us almost $300 to receive absentee ballots and applications.
75% of them back.
Probably about that, yeah. 92%. I was just writing it down. Yeah, but for 254 pieces, that's what we got charged. It's what the state of Michigan is paying out of your taxpayer dollar.
How much?
$294.12 is what it cost us to get those pieces back.
What was the percentage of voters?
Less than 3%.
Less than 3%?
For early voting, for early voting.
Put everything together, what was, you said 5%?
So for, I don't have the county-wide, that was the only number I had for the county, was early voting. For our township, we had, just over, it's probably about 30%. We have 2,143 voters and 559 came out and voted.
Okay.
All right. Assessor contract.
Is that the one in the corner you get?
It's fine. And I know it was stated that we want it to be completely separate, but it's hard to state what the assessor's responsibilities are versus MAS's without having it in his contract that this is what he's allowed to have the company do, and this is what he has to do on his own. So it does say MAS on there, but the contract itself is with Gunner. I don't know.
Because he has to sign it.
Yeah.
Well, he's signing it not just as a gunner, he's signing it as an agent for MAS, which mixes the two and creates the problem again.
And again, I guess I'm still having a hard time understanding why we even need to have a contract with them. No other employee has a contract. If we have an issue with not being able to separate it, we can do a separate contract just with them to assist our assessor, who could just be an at-will employee like everybody else. Because that contract was no better than the original one, the current one.
Because I think he is.
It's all mixed together.
It was worse than the original one, because it's 5 pages long as opposed to a page and a half.
What did our attorney say?
That's what he gave us.
Yeah.
He gave us this.
Well, he gave us that, but, my question, this goes back to our May meeting. There were, a ton of things, specifically from the MTA that, the assessor is considered a public official and tax assessor, because he administers and enforces Michigan public law, has to be an employee. And the contract that has been submitted again doesn't make that clear that, it mixes the two. And it is not clear. There are some other issues just from a contract law standpoint that raises some issues. But there are a whole bunch of, and I brought them again, I guess I have a couple of questions. Whether or not, the lawyer saw all the things that I presented back in May from the standpoint of the IRS explanations. They were actually to Sharon Township back in 09 for their 09-10 tax year. It's Form 886A, which hopefully nobody ever gets. Basically, it explains the specific changes to a return and why the IRS didn't accept documentation that was submitted. And basically, the problem Sharon Township had was they contracted out their assessor. The issue with the IRS is if you contract your assessor, they're not paying payroll tax, you're not paying FICA, both sides. And the IRS goes back and they'll go back 7 years because that's statute of limitations. They'll assess the taxes, they'll assess FICA, they'll assess penalties, and the township is the one that winds up paying for them, not the assessor. So that's a problem just from the IRS standpoint. The state of Michigan Constitution, Section 2 provides, and quote, the power of taxation, which the assessor has, that's not part of the quote, shall never be surrendered, suspended, or, and this is actually, I'm quoting from the IRS 866A that they gave to Sharon, suspended or bold, underlined, italicized, contracted away. You can't contract the assessor. And in essence, you've contracted the assessor not as an employee, but you've mixed it with MAS. And I think Teresa brings up some good points that, he's looking for a 3-year contract. I don't think we have any other employees that are direct employees of the township that have 3-year contracts. You're looking for, a 60-day notice before being terminated. all of our employees are at will. So, from a contract standpoint, I have issues with that. But, did the assessor get the material that I provided at the meeting in May? And he still thinks this is a good approach. I have to disagree because the MTA is all over this, going back to the April education class that Teresa and I sat through. Absolutely not. And it opens the township up. And again, I don't have any problem with Gunner, I don't have any problem with MAS. It's a matter of separating the contracts so that we're protecting the township. That's my issue.
The problem is the confusion lies in the fact that for so long, nobody cracked down on this. For so long, this has been allowed to take place throughout the entire state. Just like other issues that, so everybody does it because everybody else does it, doesn't mean it's right. And also the IRS is starting to crack down on it. MTA warned us that. And so now we are trying to get into compliance, and so are other townships. They have also had the same argument with Gunner. They refused to change the contract for them. They chose to go find a whole new assessor because they would not sign that contract. They would not sign a contract with the two of them together.
Okay, from a payroll standpoint, Gunner is an employee. He gets employee taxes taken out.
We understand
But
that.
then MAS is a contract, so on those two, so they're separate in
The contract
accounting
itself
system.
puts them together.
But somehow that contract is putting them together, even
Right.
though they're separate, one's payroll and one is an account payable as a contract.
So we won't have to pay
So-
interest and penalties and back pay for what we're actually paying him a small
Right,
paycheck,
right.
but we will have to pay that on everything we pay to MAS.
So he doesn't need a contract,
He needs none.
he doesn't need one.
What's MAS? What's
Michigan Assessing Services,
Which is,
family business.
I have not met our attorney, and I'm sure he's a nice guy, but, I stopped counting the number of business contracts that I've been involved in when it hit 100 many years ago. And I've learned a few things, along the way, and there's just little things like, the word inland is missing from township, so it's, specifying which township. Some of the stuff is picky. But Michigan Assessing Service isn't spelled out until the very end of the contract, making it a little hard to read, what is MAS. But, one of the, I won't go through all of this because, just for time, but one of the things that's included in just about every business contract that you will ever read is a clause called the severability clause, which basically says if any one clause within any one part of a contract is found to be unconstitutional, unenforceable, whatever, it doesn't negate the whole contract, which currently this contract is easy to blow up because there are things in there that just can't be for an assessor. And I would have hoped that our attorney knew that.
So we need to get a contract that doesn't have Gunner in it at all and just talks about MAS.
Correct.
That is what we need to get to the heart of
Right, so,
and do it that way.
What we said.
Yeah. So,
okay.
And I'd be happy to meet with the attorney to help iron this stuff out.
All right, I will get a hold of him.
And I do want to thank Gunnar, who I had hoped would be here, for continuing to work, He signed our stuff so we could send our taxes out, sorry guys. But I think, again, it's nothing against the parties involved, it's a matter of, I think we need to be diligent in protecting the township.
because anybody over there, MES, any of the people can do that work. Gunner doesn't have to be the person doing the work.
Certain parts he does.
Right, certain parts, but
Right.
the rest of the people, other people can do it. That's why without the governor's name mentioned in it at all. Because he's not a contract employee, the business is.
All right, then you wanna go through the survey?
And this is
Sure.
why it said ARPA funds surveys, that's what it was on there.
Before I delve into the, survey, I want to clarify and back up to last month's report, which was on the meeting that we had with Manor Casterison, back in June. I'm a little concerned that as I wrote this, and I apologize for sometimes not being clear, which I certainly can be unclear at times, probably most of the time. But I followed through on Rod's slides and his comments and my notes. And on the last page of the report that I gave last month, in closing comments, if you'll bear with me, I just want to read, Rod had several suggestions to improve our chart of accounts. We have too many special revenue funds that are really not special. Several funds should be moved to the general fund, and I listed them. And then he had other suggestions which included, one about the equipment replacement fund, which is not an issue. But it says in the report, Fire Association fund, then in parens, this fund needs to be eliminated entirely. And I went back and I checked, this is the second to the last slide that he provided, and just wanted to make sure that I was quoting him properly. And he goes through the funds and he says, eliminate Fire Association fund. And the reason I'm bringing this up is I'm a little concerned that Fire Association fund, this fund needs to be eliminated entirely, was interpreted by someone as, we want to get rid of the Fire Association, which is not the case. I don't think it's ever been the case. I don't think anybody during Rod's presentation suggested that we eliminate the Fire Association, just that we need to move the fund off our books because from a state statute standpoint, we can't have a fire association raising money because that's not one of the allowed ways for a township to raise funds. What's more troubling to me is that not only was that misinterpreted, that I wanted to get rid of the Fire Association, as you play the phone game and the conversation goes on, all of a sudden I wanted to get rid of the fire department. Neither is the case, and basically I'm just tossing this out there so as we go through the survey, or anything else for that matter. My phone number is on the website, my email's on the website, and Thursday nights from 6:30 till 8, or I stay later for some people, come talk to me in person and find out what the real situation is, rather than misinterpreting me. If you have a question, ask. If you have a disagreement with me, actually I think that's great, because there's probably something that I've missed. You can convince me, maybe I can convince you, but if that's the case, let's talk. Don't just put words in my mouth that don't really belong there. So with that, way too lengthy introduction. The results of the survey are interesting. I don't know, has anybody read it online? Did we make copies out on the table? So 66 people replied in time. I've actually gotten a few more in since this has been printed, and it will be updated. There were a few people that didn't fill out the survey correctly, so it was difficult to score them, so they weren't scored, but I did take comments off of them. For my 2 cents, again, it's my 2 cents, this is not a board certified report, it's not the feeling of the entire board. It's kind of like the radio station when they say, the opinions of the guests are not that of the station. It was really interesting that road improvements in some define, you know, you can read in the comments section, you know, some people had thoughts of which roads, not many, but road improvements by far and away was the issue that was at forefront of everybody's mind, ranked number one in their ranking. And if you put that one aside, putting in a permanent restroom was, you know, the other thing that ranked high. And of course, you know, for road improvements, we have a millage for roads. I mean, basically, the township has three primary functions. Give you roads that you can drive around on comfortably. Protect us, that's why we have a fire department. Hopefully we won't need a police department or a constable. And run elections, well, and taxes. So I guess there are four things. So we can do those three things. So road improvements it's interesting that it ranked high. It's something that is a township. Apparently we're not listening closely enough to what the township's needs are. Again, this is my interpretation. Definitely permanent restrooms at the park. Big surprise, pickleball courts was ranked high, because pickleball is a hot sport right now, and I don't think pickleball courts are all that expensive. Drinking fountain with bottle filler, I think if we do a permanent restroom, easy to put those two together, because both are gonna need plumbing. A fitness course and benches for a walking path, basically were about average of everything else. And dog park, didn't quite hit average, but again, if you take roads off, because they're kind of a separate issue, tax-wise, dog park is up there, and then everything else, kind of fell by the wayside as far as interest. And again, you know, for a township that has 2,143 voters, you know, basing this on actually less than 66, 58 scoreable responses, is not statistically significant, but it does point us in a direction. And basically, what it says, what this survey says to me is, we need to do, as a board, we need to do a better job of listening, and a better job of just finding out what the township really wants. So, you know, read it, give me your thoughts. If you haven't filled out a survey, still fill one out and send it in. I'm not sure when I'll be collecting and redoing numbers again, but I will. Yeah.
Two questions. The road improvements, you're saying the county's responsible for that, but
No, the township.
the township
The
is.
county's responsible for the roads.
The
The
road.
township has a millage to help pay for the roads that we want,
Does that include the roads within a park, or just? No, okay, but, so would people have thought that it was the road in the park that they were talking about, or not?
No.
Actually, one of the all the comments are included in one of the appendices. And one of them actually did talk about improving, which actually, I think, 2 board meetings ago, we approved.
Right,
And
okay.
so why it hasn't been done yet, don't know.
The other, comment is the pickleball courts. We tried for that 2 years ago.
I'm sorry?
We tried for pickleball courts 2 years ago. It was on the planning for the Parks Committee, Parks and Rec Committee proposed 2 pickleball courts. They just never went anywhere because we were being asked to get too many bids for them. And so it didn't happen. But it's not like we haven't taken that into account. We did 2 years ago.
We understand that, but there's 3 new people here probably since you did that, so
Yeah.
we didn't have that before us before.
What's interesting in the comments is, you know, one of our gravel roads, apparently going back to 2008, the board approved having it be paved, and it's still a gravel road. You know, so,
Is that St. John's Road, because that was never approved?
uh,
That one guy, I'll tell you that.
Culvert.
Oh, I did not write that, I swear. I did not write
that was discussed and it was.
I don't want to pay.
It was based on road commission's timeframe.
The comment on the survey survey form was Hubbard Road was scheduled to be asphalted in 2008. When the recession occurred, it was postponed. It's about time the promise to finish Hubbard Road was kept. Not just part of it, but all of it. Big word.
It was promised because Paul had told me it was promised at one time, and I understand the problem. I will say this, I've had several people complain about the roads we chose to pave, and I've tried to justify that choice. But I've had several people say with the condition of many of the roads in our township, why? And I get it, it was because we wanted to put an arch in the curves on the, even people who lived there said Algonquin and Mohawk did not need to be repaved. And although we did it to make the roads nicer, they felt that that money could have been spent elsewhere first, and those roads would have been fine for years to come. I'm just saying that, so I think part of that is the issue with the road improvement. We're not, as Jim said, listening to what the people want, but we can't if they don't come, so.
Maybe those were chosen that way.
Where are those?
I get it, but I'm just saying, there was not even a pothole in either one,
I know.
according to people who live on them.
There weren't.
So we spent money that we probably didn't need to.
But on the bathrooms, we actually have an account, one of our CDs is for that.
It is not for that. That was another thing that was said. It said if they had a choice, they would like that money to go to the bathroom. It was not, totally earmarked for the bathroom. Because of that, I feel we should put it towards the bathroom, but it does not say it has to go to a bathroom in the letter from the church. It says
You
that
got
if
the
they had
letter?
it, I have the letter.
Oh, cool.
So,
Because all we have is the piece of paper that it was written on, but it wasn't from the church.
I have a letter from the church that states if they had a choice, they would like the money to go to a permanent restroom. $750.
but more than anything else, and I touch on this in my conclusion, is that what the survey says is we need to do a real survey. Because this was interesting, it was kind of ad hoc, send it out with the taxes, which not everybody gets, because not everybody that lives here pays taxes directly.
They all get it
rent.
still. They still get it.
The renters don't get it.
No, but the homeowners do. And also, the thing is, I agree though, that we do need to send a regular one because I've had probably 10 people open their tax bill in my office and sit down and write a check that didn't, they pulled this out while they're sitting there. People don't open their tax bills. If their mortgage pays it, they toss it aside a lot of
their
times.
tax bills, and we were a little surprised that it was printed both sides, obviously to save paper and stuff. There are a lot of people that were surprised. I mean, I've talked to 2 people in the last week that, oh my God, there's a survey on the back, so they didn't even turn it over to look.
Same thing
It
happened
was
with
a
the
county
election
reason,
ballots
we
too.
could not put 2 separate sheets of paper with the tax bill.
Right,
We couldn't mail that out, so we
it was
had to
too
do
heavy.
one paper,
Yeah.
So, I don't have a firm recommendation because it will cost something to mail out, and I would recommend return envelope with it. I think we should find out what our township is really interested in investing, not just the ARPA funds, but we have this big pile of money sitting in the corner that's excess funds in our general fund, let alone, we need to better understand our other funds for the fire department and roads. I have to admit, I don't have a full grasp of what the profile of Inland Township looks like. How many people with families, how many kids of age, how many seniors.
That's part of the magic ring process.
Well, understand, it's also part of the census. I mean, some of that stuff we can look up, but, I think we're out of touch, and I think we're making decisions that, as taxes apparently continue to rise, I think we need to do a better job. And I think a decent survey would be a step in that direction.
Doesn't it have to be earmarked at the end of the year?
Well, we have a way
So
around it.
proper-
No, we don't.
proper survey is.
No, we have a way of capturing the ARPA funds. that Hopefully would have been captured by now, but apparently we haven't been able to coordinate. Is the time.
Right, I just think that when we do capture them that way, and just move it into the general fund, we need to earmark, not necessarily every penny is, this project, but, is it all going to parks? Are we doing because, you know, it was said that it was supposed to go to parks, but
That was not voted on though, and
Right.
I'm not opposed to it going to parks, that's not my point at all.
No, I'm just
I
saying.
get it, but I don't think we have to make it, if we're gonna earmark it in there, we should definitely earmark it that this is ARPA funds somehow without, labeling it ARPA funds, but we should not earmark it all to go to the parks. We should wait until we know where people really wanna spend it before we spend it. We can document that it's money from the ARPA funds, but there was no vote to put
Right,
it all
that's
to
what I'm
parks. So
saying.
we can make a decision later once we have more information to make it on.
But once we have that information, it would be good for everyone to know where the money is going and how much is gonna go.
Well,
for each
exactly,
project.
Well,
Right,
that's our job as
That's the
a
purpose to do.
board.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, I'm agreeing
But we
with that.
can't pre-do that
No.
without having the information.
No,
Is it allowed to put a, survey on when people come, I mean, it's a presidential election, so you're gonna have a full building, can you put a survey on the
No.
table?
No.
About what you know,
Her,
to have them sit on the thing out front,
out
people
front,
wanna
cause
grab
we
them.
have stuff that.
out front, but not in here.
correct.
So it is possible to put it
Because
out,
people
I mean,
pick
the
stuff up.
line is long, so.
People pick stuff up, but you can't be going and handing stuff to people.
And none of us could be
Problem
out there handing anything to anybody, because we'll all be on the ballot, so.
And you can't,
If we're gonna do a genuine survey that we have real confidence in, we need to send it to the residents at their home address as opposed to just handing them out, and some people got them, some people didn't. Some people, we need to be able to track a legit survey.
But you can capture the ARPA funds?
Oh, yeah.
We can, and
That-
we do
that's-
have that
that's
scheduled
easy-
to come.
That's easy peasy.
When are you gonna do that? Yeah.
Well,
Oh, my goodness.
the last meeting, we, hired Manor Casterison to come in and show us exactly how to do that. That contract wasn't executed quickly enough to be able to do it by this meeting, I guess. So,
It has to be done by December the 31st.
yeah, we have to till the year end. And basically, the way to capture it, that was proposed to us, so we know in theory, we just don't know in actual practice, is look at your payroll, roll it backwards until you've eaten up the 201,000 and whatever. The written office payroll, which we can certainly do, boom, done, moves to the general fund. Problem solved. We've captured it, we don't have to send any money back, we don't have to,
And you're comfortable with it being done within the year.
oh yeah, but hopefully it'll be done within the next week or so.
The 14th, you guys are scheduled?
Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah.
Do you guys do that yourself or do you have?
No, Manor Historian is coming in and they're gonna help Rose do that work to do that. And then they're coming, and at the same time, they're gonna work to consolidate our accounts.
Contract.
And Rose and I will work with them together on that.
All right.
All right, L 4029. So, I look back at the last couple of years, and just out of our general fund, we have put more in savings than we collected in our operations millage. I
Wait,
personally.
can you say that again? There's a lot of chatter going on here, but I'm not hearing.
The amounts that we collected from our operating millage, we put more than that into savings. Like last year, we put 109,000 in savings. Our township operating tax, we collected 7,800, sorry, 78,916. So we put an extra $31,057 into savings. So just over the last 2 years, we've put minus what we actually collected. We put almost what we would collect this year into savings. So we put 3 years worth in the last 2 years just into savings, because we haven't spent it. And I think with the way things are right now, it would be better to give citizens the break, because we're not in need to build any more savings by any means. So I'm thinking we change that to 0 mills for this year.
It's the operating expense,
Yeah.
the top, the fixed down fee.
Instead of the, 0.7247.
I think as a principle, I'm not objecting to that. Actually, that's something that I raised several months ago. In practice, since we have until September 30th to get this form in, I would like to see this as real projections as opposed to just talk at a board meeting where this is brought up for the first time. I think it's important that we know, we've been overtaxed for over a decade. The surplus didn't just arrive in the last 3 years, and, do we just have a surplus in the general fund? Do we have surplus in other operation areas? And with the, inflation rates that we've had, to just say, we don't need it. We just looked at a survey, a couple meetings ago, you thought $150,000 of playground equipment was a thought. I don't know how much a permanent bathroom at the park is gonna cost. Certainly it's not gonna be cheap. Is it gonna eat up all the ARPA funds? I don't know. I don't think anybody else knows.
The 2 quotes that I had were roughly around 50,000 for the bathroom.
That was without even doing a drain field, was it not? The one didn't have a drain field included, we wanted to do a holding tank. We don't have to do a holding tank. We
Right.
should not do a holding tank. That's a huge expense.
My point is, we don't have a strategic plan, we don't have specific plans, we have general ideas of around 50,000. Well, park benches just went way up. How long ago was your quote? How much has that gone up? Because inflation hasn't gone away and people are making adjustments. Again, in principle, I think we're overtaxed and we can knock it down. Should we knock it down all at once? Should we knock it down over 3 years, 2 years, 5 years? I don't know. But just throwing this out without having worked the numbers through, we've already set a budget anticipating, a certain amount of income. I can't run the numbers in my head.
This would affect next year's budget, not this budget.
Well, I understand, but it's still, with having sat through the session with Manor, we're not doing a great job of budgeting. And part of it is that we're over budgeting and underspending, much better position to be in than the other way around. But we're still flying blind. And to just say, no taxes for the next year, and, part of it is there's only one person sitting at this table that is guaranteed to be here without acts of God intervening, November 20th. So for us to make a decision for a future board, then maybe the same board, maybe a different board, I don't think that's a fully responsible way to do it, especially just having introduced it as something that, came in the packet last week to look at. I wanna see what the impact is on the budget.
Well, and that without having the planning stuff done, and yet, they're working on a new master plan and new planning, and so we don't know what idea, I just think it's a poor time to do it as well. I think we need to have all the information together before we do that. We need to look at the numbers, we need to figure out, no offense, but I don't trust your numbers, I'd like to see the numbers myself and have the information before I can calculate how much we've actually saved in the last 2 years. And we don't know what plans, if he's got a question back there, so it's distracting me. No, behind you, Jim.
Yes. I asked this question in June, and I don't know if this fits in or not, but I asked the question of whether or not we had a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, and a 15-year plan, and I was told no.
We do not.
Does this fit in at all with that?
It should,
Okay,
absolutely.
so what I'm gonna do is, ask that the board take a position of setting a committee to be able to do that, and by a certain date. Now, whether you meet that date or not is a different story, but we've gone, now, and this is August, June, July, and August, and it's kind of has fallen. So, as a board, it would seem like, okay, that your strategic planning needs to be done. You're driven by the audit, and you can sit down and figure out where you're gonna go, what kind of money you have, and where you're at. But until that, the board takes it by the tail and sets some dates, that's not gonna happen. I've heard, Jim, is it, that he said that this has been going on for quite a while. Well, my question also would mean to the board is, okay, when are you gonna set some hard dates to be able to carry through with some of those things?
I would like to set these today. So-
Well, the only thing that's stopping you
I know,
is the
I
board.
know, we need to.
Do we know where that 30-some thousand's coming from?
Interest.
No, I mean, you're talking about cutting back operating funds. Is it coming from operating funds? Is it coming from road funds? Is it coming from?
No, this is just from the general fund, so, I mean, between the swamp tax, trailer tax, I mean, the state revenue sharing is still our biggest income. We spent last year not even 100,000 more than just state revenue sharing, so. Between that and the property tax administration fees and the swamp tax, and then every other bit of income that goes into our general fund has just been going into savings.
So we're spending what the state revenue taxes, basically. Is that what you're saying?
That plus like the administration fee.
So basically the millage that we're getting, we're not spending.
Right.
Off the millage, we're basically spending what the state gives us for.
Correct.
No, I don't think that's the right way to state it. We're spending less than we're taking in. That's a good thing. But
Right.
we shouldn't be spending so much less year after year after year. That's a bad thing. It means we did a crap job of budgeting.
Right.
And to just blindly say, well, drop it from, 0.7274 to 0 might be the right direction, it might be the final right answer, but to do it based on the lack of information, the lack of projections, the lack of planning that we have right now, I think is irresponsible.
I think we need to make a finance committee and come up with what our long-term goals are, what our financial plans are before we start taking money away. I'm not saying that we shouldn't, I'd love my taxes to be lowered. But I don't think that's the right way to do it, is to just blindly drop it.
And we don't know what, we have some general feeling of what might be on the minds of our citizens based on this July survey that we did. Is the general consensus after we do a full survey, yes, let's do, what, I'm not even gonna label it, let's do whatever, and it's gonna cost more than we thought. Our tax rebate isn't gonna be that big, let's leave that in there. Maybe we have another millage first, something that, we haven't even thought of. The answer is, we don't know. But you're flying blind in a cloud, in a thunderstorm, and I just think to do this as a knee-jerk commission, working on a master plan and new ordinances. What's in the master plan? We don't know yet. You know, what direction do we want to take it? What is that gonna cost us? What is it not gonna cost us? You know, maybe, you know, the answer is that we don't have any, you know, we're zeroing out the Operation General Fund to zero for a couple of years. I don't know the answer because we haven't done the work to answer that question. And, you know, I appreciate the, you know, I don't know that we want to move on, but, you know, proposing a finance committee was something that I wanted to bring up. So I will wait until we're on that topic to talk about it further, but.
Well, this L49, needs to be changed anyway, because it can't say indefinite on the fixed allocation there. It has to have a date on it after the vote. I have to say 12/31.
I think it's just indefinite, so we can talk about.
This is what the state was, this is what the county sent to me.
Yeah, this is
That was
before the
prior to the
election.
vote, and now it has to be
Yeah,
changed.
so that's why it says draft. So, yeah.
At minimum, I would like to table this discussion until next month's meeting, because we have until September 30th to get this in.
Yeah, and I'd like to see, I mean, we got a whole 6 pages on survey that 58 people responded to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is not enough information to base a tax decision. Like, you can't even really read the whole thing, like, it's squished, and just not a nice presentation.
This is what they sent
This
you.
is what we have to send to the county, to be able to
Right,
collect
but I mean,
taxes. This
what
is
we heard was
yeah.
him reading off some
Yeah.
letters on a sheet that we can't see. Like,
Exactly.
I need a,
We didn't see it either.
It's just a copy of the budget.
yeah, my only other thing would be, it's nice to stop it, but it's hard to get it back if you quit it.
But we'll probably get, I'll probably get another one of these emailed since the vote was done. We'll probably send out another one, yeah.
In 25 words or less, what is an L4029? Is it a report you have to submit?
It's a report that we have to fill out that to the county to be able to collect taxes.
Okay,
For them
just
to
to
do
the
the
county,
millage. I'm sorry?
just to the county.
For the millages, right.
It's in your packet if you got one there.
Yeah, okay.
They plug it into their computer and that kicks out your tax bill.
Okay.
All right. Moving on, finance committee.
I asked that the finance committee be put on the agenda so we could discuss it. It was actually, back in June, it was one of Rod's recommendations that townships, especially small townships like ours that have, you know, part-time staff, there are a lot of balls in the air. There's much more to budgeting and maintaining the budget and working the budget and keeping track of things than most people think. And the difficulty is sometimes having enough time in the day, week, month, year to go around and collect it. Budgeting really should start, you know, 4 to 6 months ahead of the decision that this is the budget that we adopted, which actually puts the start of it, you know, October. Again, there's only one person sitting in front of you that will be here November 20th on for sure. You know, the rest of us are hopeful. Others in the audience might be hopeful. But I think that having a finance committee would help work between all the different departments, you know, just, I'm spitballing now, you know, we have a finance committee that really looks at all the roads and, you know, part of the survey might be collecting information on who's satisfied with their roads, what roads need work, figuring out how much that's all gonna cost. It's gonna be some legwork and, based on presentation last month of, Rod's class for us, and unfortunately he's not here, but, a fellow by the name of Ted Nelson called me a couple of days after last meeting, and then actually came in one Thursday night and spent, close to 2 hours. We're just chatting. He has an interesting background, management, marketing and sales management with Kellogg. He's been involved in other nonprofits. He's been involved in the school board down in Kalamazoo. He's been involved, if I'm recalling correctly, Humane Society. And he knows his way around budgets. There are a couple of things that in Rod's report and what I encapsulated in my report last month. He would like to be involved in a finance committee if we put one together. I think there are other people in the community that have the understanding and have worked with budgets before, that understand that it's not, anybody that's worked in business, particularly in marketing and sales, knows how to put together a budget, knows how to keep within a budget, knows how to ask Mother May I if they need to extend the budget. So I think I've been impressed with just some of the comments that came back with the surveys. I mean, there are people out there that want to help. We just need to ask. So I think we should put together a finance committee. Unfortunately, Ted was going to be here tonight, but he had an emergency come up at the last minute, a family thing, so he couldn't be here. But I was going to recommend that he at least be, made a member of a finance committee if we vote one in. And I think it's also important because this board changes, the citizenship stays far more stable. I think the finance committee should be primarily made of qualified citizens that have the energy, have some of the experience. I don't know if we have a requirement that one board member needs to be on a committee or not. I'd volunteer to be on the finance committee. I don't want to be chair of the finance committee again. I think it should be a citizen. So
I make a motion that we allow Jim to put together a finance committee and find qualified members to be on the committee with him, and then find one of them to be the chair.
Well, the people would have to vote on the chair.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You can find the people and they can decide who's
But
gonna be
you're
chair.
also gonna have to identify for people what
We can-
qualified means, because
I'm gonna let him choose that. I feel like he can do that. He has a very long background and
excuse me, all I'm saying is I don't think a qualified person necessarily has to be a business person or a business owner that has done it. There are a lot of people, I think, in our community that would be able to facilitate such a thing without being a business owner.
well, I think Jim can make that decision. He
Well,
finds
I
some
don't,
people to be
I
on
don't think
that.
Jim wants to be the sole person that makes that decision.
Well, if he's going to find people to be on the committee and you need one board member, I would like him to be on the committee, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think we need to find a committee of all CPAs.
No, definitely not.
But I do think that people that have an understanding of financial statements is important. And maybe qualified is too strong a word. Familiar with.
Yeah, I'll rephrase it.
We need to approve the finance committee, and appoint people to start it. Jim would be.
Go recruit.
I make a
Or if,
motion,
or if
excuse
you'd
me,
like,
I make a motion to allow Jim to start a finance committee and find members to join him with that committee.
Like to recruit members, or
Oh,
like,
good. Right. to
because
find-
we still have to approve the members
Yes.
of the
Right,
board.
but he has to find some people for us to approve.
Right.
I mean, we can't approve people unless we know they wanna be on the committee.
Is this something we would want to hold off till?
No, I don't think
Just,
so.
we
We
just,
held up long enough.
we just approve a finance committee and appoint Jim to be a member on it, and then go from there, and Jim will come back.
I'll
To the
come
board
back with
with
people
the
that are
date.
interested. in
That's
being-
all you have to do.
That's what I'm saying. Do we want to set like a special meeting to do this? Like, 2 weeks from now?
I was
Or do
thinking
we wanna wait until the next meeting?
I think we can wait until the next meeting. I mean, there's, while I am the appointed person in the committee, you know, people can talk and we can converse and come up with a plan and direction and,
This
you
is
know,
a motion
report
that
back
hasn't
and
been
forth.
seconded.
No, it
We're
hasn't.
discussing it, and
Right.
this
we're out of order.
is where we need to remember that you have a motion, you have to second it, and then we can do all this other stuff. I mean, that's the right way to do it, so, please, would you please repeat your motion? Okay, it basically said, a motion to put together a finance committee with Jim on the committee. Right?
Right, I would, and I
So
feel
I'll
like,
second that.
I feel like Jim can start to find members now. We can bring it to the next meeting, seek approval for them. They can choose their chair, maybe beforehand, maybe afterhand. But I think we need to start moving towards doing that, especially if we wanted to possibly make changes to the 4029 and to work with the planning commission.
I think some way or other we need to let people know that there's going to be a finance committee and ask people if they are interested. Because most people will use the internet to find out. Some of us are not internet wizards. But there needs to be a way to let the community know that we're starting to have a new committee. Are you interested?
For the poll, do you have one?
Well, you're welcome to share that information with people and send them to there, but like, where are you gonna, how are you plan to notify people?
Well,
They put up notices
Internet.
here, we're gonna.
put a notice up at
Put on the
Children's
website.
Grocery, and I'm not sure the other places that they
We
do.
put it out on the sign.
One of the ads in the
You do that,
record.
I'll post it
Every time I do
Volunteers
it, it doesn't
needed.
work.
post it on the landing page of the new
Well, what
website.
I'm saying is that you have to seek them out.
And I don't think it should be well, we searched for 3 weeks and we've got, 5 people, you can't be on it anymore. I mean, as far as I feel, the more the merrier.
Right.
And I don't think there should be, like the Parks and Recreation, more people, many hands make for light work.
Yeah, if we had them, we had like, yeah.
So we do this finance committee in Bill 4029 is, needs to be, we need to do something with it by the next board meeting.
Right.
They prefer to have these things in by September 1st, and this one they prefer, even though it's September 30th, but. So in the meantime, what are we gonna do?
Well,
I mean, are you gonna get a committee and have a special meeting once the committee figures something out?
I'll try to get a finance committee together as quickly as possible, but I think that since you're making the proposal that we should zero out taxes for part of 4029, call it 4029, you should take it on your shoulders to put together a proposal, with full numbers and projections and, what does it actually mean? I'm happy to work with you on it, but, it's your proposal. I think I'm sure Ted would like to jump in with both feet. How much we can get done on that specifically before the next meeting, I don't have a clue. Depends on how many people we.
And there probably needs to be an end date for people to send you information saying they're interested, especially if we wanna try and get something together before the next meeting.
Well, I think we're worried way too much about rushing this, and I don't necessarily think that this is urgent to try to lower people's taxes at this time. I'm not saying that it's not something we shouldn't do in the future, I'm not saying, I just think I think we're just trying to rush this way too fast right now, and I don't think that we should do that. I think we should try to get the finance committee together, and move from there with what they recommend. I don't think we should just try to shove this through and make up numbers in a month.
I don't think that's what we're trying to say. I think we're just trying to say that this paperwork has to be in by September 30th. and we need to have a date where people that are interested in being part of the finance committee know that they have to have something into us by a certain date so we can move forward.
But
I think we're mixing two
We are,
topics
yeah,
right now.
that's what I'm saying,
You know,
we're mixing two very important and
I-
trying to rush this.
I just specifically said, I think it's really up to Dave to bring back a proposal for the 4029.
I heard
If
that,
the finance committee can work on it, that's great,
yes.
but, you know, some decision needs to be made, of course, on the 4029 by the end of next month.
Right.
You know, we do have a tendency to draw things out, maybe longer than they need to be, but, I think we can take a heartbeat and a deep breath on this one until next month's meeting.
September 9th.
Rosemary's been raising her hand back there.
Okay, that's all right. So the finance committee, is it also gonna be a strategic planning committee? Because this gentleman brought up, you know, we don't have a 2, a 3, or 4, or 5-year plan. So is the finance committee is that going to be their job to help with the strategic planning?
My sense for the finance committee is described by Rod back in June, was that it is to facilitate everybody, every department, every division, every citizen, you know, from the standpoint of collecting. What is the fire department's budget gonna be? You know, how can we do a better job, you know, year after year of projecting what expenses are gonna be, what's anticipated? You know, what should we be spending on roads? Maybe our road millage is too low for what people want. Yeah, I'm willing to spend a little bit more to get better roads, or not. I don't have the answer. So strategic plan is something that actually comes out of the planning commission. Is the one area that the planning commission actually has more power than the board itself, from the standpoint of setting the capital improvement program, which we don't have. But, you know, again, the finance committee, I envision, you know, going around, you know, what's the condition of the roof of this building? What's the condition of, you know, any big ticket item that, you know, oh, it's good for another 5 years, but then we're gonna have to spend, you know, this much on it to, you know, to service it. You know, just going back to the parks, you know, we have a lot of park equipment that is looking pretty shabby. What is it gonna take, you know, just forget new stuff, how about taking care of what we already have?
But again, the finance committee, is that like being put ahead of a strategic, so how are you gonna spend the money if you don't have a strategic plan? I guess is, you know,
Strategic plan
it's kind of all,
The master plan, we're working on the master plan right now.
And that's planning commission,
okay.
not.
So what are they spending all the money?
All right.
How is the finance committee gonna help with this whatever number, the tax thing, when the finance committee, the members aren't even to be voted on until next month?
That's what I've said
That's what we've
several
been saying.
times now. This is where I think
It's a
Dave,
separate
We're tying, we're separate, we're tying.
Dave,
I know, but you completely said, well, it'd be great, cause Nate could help you work on, I'm sure Nate would help you with the proposal for that L-29.
who's name?
But
What he
wasn't
wants,
that the guy that you wanted on the finance committee?
Ted.
What was Ted, sorry.
Okay.
I had the names wrong.
what he wants is Dave to get the information by our September board meeting so we can make a decision.
That, right, I understood that. But the other, some of the things that he said to have Ted, right, got the name right? Ted, part of that to help him as part of the finance committee, well, he can't because we won't even write it on a finance.
I mean, he can come talk, I mean, anybody can come talk to me about any of this stuff
Right.
anytime.
That,
So that wouldn't be part of the finance committee, that would be Ted come to talk.
and how do we get,
Yeah, I don't
I'm lost.
All right, so
You wanna read that motion one more time?
Not sure what anybody knows what that motion said.
I make a motion to start a
It's the
finance.
finance committee with Jim as a member.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, camera.
One of the things that has been recommended a couple of times, and the former chair of the events committee recommended this all-in-one conference room video camera system bundle that, is basically a decent camera that can zoom around and change focus and change direction, but also importantly has a little, microphone that's Bluetooth that apparently picks up everything in the room. So that people will integrate this with the website so that people that are at home, whether they're at home in Inland or during the winter at home in Florida or other places, can watch meetings. And not just the board meeting, but, planning commission meeting, any meeting that, deserves being watched. Unfortunately, we can't Zoom them, well, we can broadcast them, but, you can't interact with them. Correct?
Yeah, that's valid.
So, anyway, there are a number of places on Amazon that it's like $360. I found a place that's selling it for $300, which seems pretty reasonable for what it is. And it's what apparently Ryan's used this in the past, and he said, you know, we don't need to, I mean, we could spend thousands and tens of thousands on fancy equipment, but I think that this is a good start and gets our feet wet. If we decide that it's really something that we like and we want to expand it, we can cross that bridge in the future.
Does Best Buy have something like this that we could get without paying tax on it? I know Amazon probably would not go with the government tax.
What Amazon does is if you have a Prime membership, you get free shipping, so it's just, in my opinion, that if you pay tax and get free shipping, we're balancing it out. Basically, cause Trish just ordered her mailbox on there and got free shipping, but she had to pay tax.
Yeah.
And that free shipping, I think was probably,
It was heavy, so it was probably really
Yeah.
expensive.
so it saved us money.
Okay,
Yeah, Best Buy doesn't have anything like that, cause I've looked at it, and then I talked to the Intercom.
In the com,
Yeah, and all their stuff was ridiculously priced.
okay.
I make a motion that we buy this camera system that Ryan recommended for $299.99 plus tax.
With free shipping.
Free shipping comes with Prime.
I've never tried to buy anything off of Amazon through a nonprofit. Do they not accept?
I think they do if you have if you set up a business account. You have to set up a business account. It's pretty easy to do. I think we probably need more people to do that.
yeah, and
Plus you had to pay the Prime, so now we're up to.
I think years back.
I don't know what Prime
Well-
is for there. I have a Prime account. I mean, I don't know what it is for business.
And they declined it.
We could flip a coin, I have a Prime account.
Yeah,
You wanna order it?
reimburse whoever.
Well,
Or we can
We have to
leave it.
make an emotion.
Yeah, I'll second.
Does that include microphones for you guys so that we can hear?
Yeah, it's
One's
one,
got the paper back there, it has a whole.
one central microphone that,
It's
one-
gonna pick it up for the recording, but is it gonna be speakered so that we can hear you guys?
Not at this point.
So can we get microphones for you guys so we can hear you?
It says speakerphone.
Yeah, it says Bluetooth conference speakerphone with
It might
microphone.
do that.
Well, the speakerphone that's
yeah.
somebody else that,
You're calling in.
Yeah.
Yes, collecting it, send it to the computer
Yeah.
through the website.
No, cause like right now with that paper in front of Rose's face, it's mumbling, I can't hear you.
Oh,
So,
But if it has a microphone, you might be able to hear better. If not, maybe we could add speakers afterwards.
Actually, we just had speakers to every computer's running it.
do you wanna punt for a month and I'll do more research, see if we can find something,
I would agree with that.
No,
find something.
No,
that's-
let's
Order
order
the
the
damn
and then we can
camera.
add speakers.
I mean, come
Well, you just wanna
on.
find something, you know, we would only have to have one thing.
this has a microphone, and that might
That's
project
what I
across the
said,
room,
but
that's what I'm saying, so we don't know that we need anything else.
If we can hook up like little speakers or big speakers.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Howard,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Zelinski,
Yes.
Worth, yes, Davis.
Yes. Motion carries. All right, now light pay. So do we want to hand off the zoning light administrator pay off to the
The
compensation
compensation committee.
compensation committee? Say yes, Jim.
Well, we did already do some I think we should. When I was on that committee, people just offered that information, so some of the townships have already provided that information. So I think we should push it off on Jim. Sorry, I'm not back on.
Make a motion that we have the compensation committee look at the zoning administrator and blight split.
And the zoning administrator is
I'll
not
second
doing
that.
blight at all, right?
I'll second that.
No blight.
We should,
Do we have a job description for the zoning administrator?
Yes. Well, I can give you the MTA one.
we have one in the policy and procedures manual that we don't,
Got that.
yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries not.
Yeah, what time did you say? What time is it?
7:50.
Focus your time.
Okay. Any other business? Are we done yet?
But was there any other business?
Well, I've got the MTA regional, fall regional weekends is coming up. The end of September, 1st of October. So, did anybody get it?
Got it, I haven't opened mail in a week.
Oh,
I haven't received. When
I
did
just
you-
got it on Saturday.
Oh, we didn't get mail on Saturday. Maybe in today's mail.
Where is it?
Frankenmuth, Ludington, Kalamazoo, Gaylord, Marquette. Oh, what's going on?
Ooh. So, I would just like to make a motion that members who would like to attend can attend and we pay mileage, but because it's all drivable, it's an hour and a half to Ludington or to any, depending on which one you go to.
Is there a cost to attend?
$125 a person, early bird within 3 weeks. So if we do this, then get the information to me and I'll get us all put in the computer.
What are the classes?
Let's see, legislative lowdown, meet the vendors parade, vendor showcase, renewable energy reform update, networking lunch. You did what? I'm serious, that's what it said. Smooth moves, mastering the transition. Desert break, oh, dessert break. Top trends for township, parks and recreation. That sounds like a good one. Dollars and cents, and meeting adjourns at 4:15.
So it's just single day.
Yes.
So it starts at 8:30, so if we're driving to Ludington, that means getting on the road. What day of the week is the 24th? No, I'm sorry, 25th.
Thursday,
What, October?
September.
September, next month.
25th is
Finish on the
Wednesday,
motion, let's go.
September 25th and 11th.
is Wednesday.
Or October 2nd, 3rd, Taylor, and, well, Taylor isn't all that far.
I'll second. Good. So roll call.
Brower,
Yes.
Zelinski,
Yes,
yes, Davis.
Yes. Carries.
Let you know if I want to.
Any other business?
I would like to go back to, I'm sorry to dump more work on Jim, just really quick. But that is gonna be my suggestion. We have very poor written job descriptions in our policy and procedure manual, and apparently we aren't following it anyway. So I think that while they're doing the compensation, it would be nice if they could also write up a job description with the board then would, obviously approve.
We have them there, and I can make copies for you. They're like antique.
For everybody.
Or you can work with MTA, for all the people that salaries you are
So, careful copying.
coming up with, or evaluating.
Careful what you ask for.
I'm sorry,
I said, careful what you ask for.
I'll help you if you want me to, I'll come back.
Is that gonna include like the janitor and all, employees?
Whichever ones you feel like you can handle.
I thought we already agreed with that.
We did not.
We didn't?
You guys
No.
said no, you didn't feel that that was your job. That's what was said last time.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It's been a while.
Maybe we're taking a motion.
I make a motion that we allow them to make job descriptions for the jobs that they're doing compensation for, if they feel up to the task.
Compensation committee.
I'll second it.
Um,
Footnote, that means you're back on the committee.
Yeah, we'll be back.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Any other business?
Nope.
All right, reopen public comment at 7:59.
Are you really part of the public, or are you?
I can be part of the public. I would just like to caution about the moving ARPA funds into the general fund. That's the first time in the 5 years we've been dealing with it at the county. It's the first time I've ever heard that you could do that, so just, I would get more than one opinion.
But it's not the first time I've heard that.
Okay.
We can,
I don't need to, yeah.
but I agree, you know,
I would just double
I
check.
understand how you feel.
Comes from a highly reliable source.
I know, there's more than one source.
Yeah.
But
Payroll,
I don't need, I'm good. I just made my comment. I don't
payroll
need
was one of the
response to
things
this
that I
public
could
comment.
compensate for,
Alright.
so.
What else? All right, close public comment at 8 o'clock.
Board comments?
We already passed that.
You could be part of the conversation.
I thought we did board comments after public.
Oh, no, no, no.
No.
Board, go over.
This board report, that's just a public. Oh, well, never mind.
You've had enough time. You're cut off now.
Make a motion.
You already did.
Time to go home to bed.
All in favor?
8:01.
I've got a policy question, because I was going to be in the middle of a meeting.